You know that you have a calling in your life when the noise starts to increase. Welcome to Outside of Eden, the podcast. I am Brianna, your host, and it's good to have you here. Thank you. I'm always gonna thank you because I am grateful. I genuinely mean that, and I'm excited to get into this episode because man, I feel like it's a topic that man we so desperately need right now. I so desperately need. But first and foremost, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so that you can be aware when I'm posting, and then you can tune in to the episodes. Um and yeah, man. So you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever felt like, or maybe you haven't realized, but if you felt like you were looking for something and you couldn't find it. Like you're literally looking in your bag, in your pockets, and you're looking for something and it is nowhere to be found. And it's nowhere to be found in a time that you need it, and that it's essential for you to have in that moment in time of your life. And the reason I bring this question up to you because the other day I had an experience where I was emotionally reactive, and my response was very immature, like because there there was no emotional stability. There was no ground of emotional stability. And so it was one of those things where I am looking for the ability to control how I feel, my words, and be stable in my emotions. And it was nowhere to be found. It was as if it was stolen from me. And that is really wild to think about, because there are going to be times in your life where things are going to require courage, and things are going to require confidence, and things are going to require spiritual maturity, and things are going to require things of you, including what I just spoke about, emotional stability. And literally, I come up to a point where I realize I'm looking for it and it's not there. This is a moment where I need to be confident, but now my insecurities are showing up. And this is a moment where I need courage, but my fear is surfacing, and my confidence is nowhere in my pockets. I can't find it. It's like a shuffling of things, of like almost like I think that's how like anxiety can begin to surface, because you're looking for these things that you desperately need in these moments of your life, and it's nowhere to be found. It's crazy to me because I'm taking a class with my church, and pastor's talking about he's talking about how about unmet emotional needs. So our needs in our childhood and how that shows up in our adulthood. And so, for instance, as a child, if your need for attention, or your need for affection, security, respect, um, if these things were not met by your parents, then you tend to show up in a way that is not healthy as an adult. For example, the last class that we had, we talked about security. So he talked about how you if if you came home one day and the lights were out, and then another day you came home and the lights were on. And if you came home and one day mother or your father was angry and they were taking it out on the family through abuse, or both physically and emotional abuse, but then another day they were happy and their emotions were stable, then it all plays into your security. Or if you had a parent who was bipolar, or who wasn't necessarily mentally stable, and at times things were going great with them, and then they revolted into another phase where they depended on a substance in order to get them by, or they disappeared, or they weren't there. So he talked about how if you didn't have security when you were a child, this could show up as an adult. You could be insecure, cynical, or controlling. And cynical just means that you doubt, you you question the motives of other people. You question why they are interested in helping you or being in your life. And it makes it hard to trust people. Or you can be controlling to where you literally feel the need to have your hands on every single thing in order to feel safe. And if you are not in control, you don't feel safe. And then insecurity, which we know what insecurity is, but he talked about how all these things can surface as an adult if certain emotional needs were unmet. And it's crazy to think about, because even with my being emotionally reactive, when you think about it, and outside of Eden is a safe space. This is not a space where I am like criticizing my parents, but I think sometimes we can avoid the things that we need to face in order to get the healing that we need in order to step into the place or the position that the Lord wants us to be in. We have to first face the things that are going to block us from receiving the blessings that the Lord wants to give us. Because when you think about security, you think about essentially about safety. Like, did you feel safe? But security is not just that. Pastor was talking about emotional needs. So when I think of security, and I tie it to my emotional reactive side of me, I think about the fact that I didn't really have a safe place for my emotions to flourish. And I feel like a lot of the times men kind of struggle with this, but because they're always told to suck it up, and they're shunned for crying and all of these things. But um, I love my mother to death, but a lot of the times whenever I would cry, my mom would be like, suck it up. Suck it up, move on, figure out a way to solve it. And I love her for that, because she's kind of like basically instructing me that, hey, crying is not going to fix your problem, so therefore stop crying and figure it out. But it that way of thinking didn't allow my emotions to just be. It didn't allow me to be able to feel them. Therefore, I could go into a state of suppressing them, and not, you know what I mean, not truly feeling it and get through it. So then it might show up in another area, because I never really felt it when it needed to be felt, when I first felt it. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of the times, and there's other instances where I would get in trouble for crying. Like, I would literally get a whooping for crying, and not necessarily from my mother, but more so from my father's end of the thing. And I love my parents, and because they helped me to be who I am today. But I have to look at how and why emotional reactivity came about, because I never had a space where I could explore emotional stability, where my emotions could be stable. Therefore, I am an adult. As an adult, there are times when I need to show up as a secure person, and I can't find that nowhere in my backpack. I can't find it. It's nowhere to be found. And there are times when I need to be confident in who I am and my emotions regarding a situation, but I can't be confident in that emotion because I'm like, I'm questioning, is this the way that I should be feeling? Should I be feeling this way instead? Is this person going to judge me if I feel this way because my parents judged me when I had certain emotions? You see what I'm saying? And so the reason that I'm even bringing all of this up is because of what I mentioned earlier, of how if we don't face certain things that we need to face, just this almost this revisiting of 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 areas of our life that certain things were taken from us, then we don't even know that it's been stolen. You see what I'm saying? I was listening. I don't even remember who I was listening to, but I was listening to a sermon, and the pastor talked about how in certain instances of your life, the devil will take things from you, and it'll be completely blind to you. You don't even know that it had been stolen from you until you're looking for it. Like he took your peace, and you're looking for your peace, but you can't find it. And the way that he took your peace is that he placed a person in your life that he knew would wreak havoc. And he placed you in a certain circumstance that he knew would wreak havoc. And he planted thoughts in your mind that you thought were your thoughts, but were actually his thoughts. You accepted them because they were in your head. So you're like, oh, well, this is my thought. Well, I guess I am this or that, or I guess this is this or that. And you accepted it as that, because at the end of the day, even when the devil plants thoughts, we have to we have to take authority in the scripture of casting down the imaginations. So in order for me not to accept that thought, I have to cast it down, because if I don't, then I will accept a thought and it will become a part of my way of thinking. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean is that if the devil had planted certain thoughts, and especially if these thoughts are negative, you begin to become this it slowly over time, you develop so many negative thoughts, you become pessimistic, and one day you're looking for your positivity and you can't find it. You can't find it because it's been stolen from you. You see what I'm saying? And so the Lord has really been highlighting the need for silence, the need for silence, the need for stillness. I've been doing my devotional, and my devotional has been highlighting the fact that the busier that Jesus got, he increased his amount of time that he went into solitude, that he went into the wilderness for prayer and to speak and to hear the voice of the Father. Because there can be so many noises that you completely miss your appointment with the Lord. Now, the Lord uses pastors to speak to us, okay? The Lord can speak through pastors in order to get to us. That is the reason that I'm even able to speak about what I'm saying today, because Pastor Darius had to actually be the one to tell me that we are in a time where we really have to filter the noise, because there are going to be seasons in your life where you may have a pastor that is being kind of aggressive at this time, when that's not really the approach that you need. But in other times of your life, you need a more aggressive approach. And there are going to be people that are saying certain things that almost begins to like discourage you. And so right now you're already fighting for your encouragement. And so therefore you can't even afford to listen to that noise, because you're already fighting for encouragement. And so if something is being said to you that is discouraging, it's loud. And so then you're getting more and more and more and deeper into your discouragement, that because there was a lack of ability to be able to filter the noise. You see what I'm saying? So I think that was very powerful for me because I was getting to a point in my life where I was trying to force myself to receive certain things and certain messages when it was really, and not that it was hard for me, but it was like it just wasn't the time for me to hear it at that time. Although I know I needed to hear it, I just couldn't hear it in that moment. You know what I mean? Or that's not what I needed to hear. And sometimes even from my close friends, like I've had a close friend say something to me that was very discouraging, and it was almost like, to her, she felt like she was saying something that was of truth, and it came from scripture, and it was of truth, and all of these things. But that's not what I needed to hear at that time. And I didn't tell her, but at that time, it really discouraged me. And I sat in that discouragement, and it prevented me from going after something that required encouragement. And so it was almost like a need to, I felt, to listen, but to filter. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, so back to what I was saying about Jesus and how the busier he got, there was this increased need to go into the wilderness and seek the voice of the Father, because it took me beginning to I had to begin to wake up earlier than I normally did. So normally I wake up around 7 a.m. I had to start getting up even earlier when the world is completely quiet and there is no noise, and I can't hear my neighbors walking around and getting ready for their day, and I don't hear the hustle and bustle of the cars, and you know what I mean. So I was forced to start getting up at around 6 a.m. so that I can just hear silence, and I can just have that time for me and the Lord. Because life was just, because once you start hearing the hustle and the bustle, and your neighbors are moving around and the cars are moving around, and you hear construction outside of your apartment, I start to feel pressure. Like, oh my gosh, I need to get up. The sun's coming up. I need to get up. I start feeling all the pressure that comes with the day. And so it required me to force myself to become disciplined in waking up at 6 a.m. so that I can get into the presence of the Lord. And the Lord started to reveal to me through prayer, and after I made prayer requests of needing healing in all of these areas that I want healing, and all of the different things that I pray about. But the Lord had to reveal to me areas of my life that needed my attention. But I wouldn't have known that it needed my attention unless I got into solitary, until I went into solitude, and in a solitary place where I can seek the voice of the Lord. And so even my ability to come to the realization of the fact that I am emotionally reactive, I had to start keening in, or tuning in to the voice of the Father. I I had to hear him tell me. I had to see him show me that I was emotionally reactive. I had him he had to show me, and he had to tell me that I was hypersensitive. And hypersensitivity is so toxic, you guys, because you don't realize when you're hypersensitive and you're emotionally fragile, you don't realize how toxic it is and how detrimental it is to your relationships and to your maturity, your spiritual maturity, and how it can be destructive to the things that the Lord wants to give you, until you are looking for stability and you can't find it. And then you're in a space where you've destroyed something because you were hypersensitive. You destroyed being close to a person because you were hypersensitive. You destroyed being able to receive criticism or to receive information and advice because you were hypersensitive. There's so many ways that hypersensitivity could be destructive, but I didn't even know that it was a toxic trait until the Lord had to reveal it to me. Uh, we need stillness. We need to escape and hear his voice. We need to hear from him because I think today there's so much noise. Social media can be noise because you go into this like cycle of like seeing other people's lives and then you're comparing your life to their life, and that's noise. And then you're confiding in people and you're hearing their advice and their perspective or their feedback on the situation instead of hearing the voice of the Father, and that's noise. And you're hearing noise in the news and celebrity gossip and all this stuff, and it's noise, and it's ultimately distracting you from the things that you need to be able to see. You need to be able to see that the things that what you need to work on. You need to be able to see what's contaminating your environment. You need to be able to see and hear and be keen to the voice of the Lord, but if you can't when there's a lot of noise. And you know that you have a calling in your life when the noise starts to increase. The noise starts to get worse. It's like the distractions, it's like you just keep getting hit with distraction after distraction. And distractions are not just social media or men and women or TV. Or distractions can also be the trials that you endure. So like just to be so sit just to like be so sitting in your trial and worrying about it and so hyper focused on it and so weighed down by it or you know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain what it is that I'm trying to say, but when your trial has become a distraction, because at the end of the day, it's a test. Whenever you are going through a trial, it's a test, and it's a test to see if you can trust the Lord, if you can give what it is that He has assigned you to go through, if you can give it to Him and not feel the need to control the situation or try to fix it or try to ponder on it or try to understand why it's happening to you. If you can, it's a test to see if you can actually give it to the Lord. I am beginning to realize that even my trials need to be given to the Lord. I say all of this to say that we have to fight for our silence, which means we have to be disciplined enough to force ourselves to go to the solitary place, run to the solitary place where you can hear the voice of the Lord. Fight, which means putting your phone away. Fight, which means ask the Lord to guard your mind of all of your worries and all of the thoughts that the devil wants to give you when it's time to be in solitude with the Lord so that you can hear his voice. And in order for us to have strength for the things that we don't have, so what I mean by this, in order for me to be able to have emotional stability, or whenever I am looking for confidence and I don't have it, or whenever I am looking for courage and I don't have it, or whenever I am looking to be fearless and actually the opposite is popping up, I am fearful. What needs to happen is we have to go into a state of confession. I have to be able to confess to the Lord, Lord, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I should prioritize in this moment. I don't know what I need. I am emotionally reactive and I need you to help me to be stable and I need you to help me to be clear in my thought so that I don't hurt the person that I am being emotionally reactive with. And right now, I'm not confident. I feel really insecure. I feel insecure about what I'm about to say. I feel insecure about my hair. I feel insecure about my role in this relationship. I feel insecure. Whatever it is that you realize has been stolen from you, or you realize somehow, somewhere, eh, you lost a part of you that used to be there, but now you can't find that part of you, you got to confess, because confession is a form of surrendering. Confess that you ain't got it. I don't have courage today. I don't have Lord, I don't have the patience today. Lord, I don't have the emotional stability today. Lord, I don't feel secure today. I need you. I need you to help me feel secure. I need you to help me and give me the courage. I need you to help me and heal me from whatever is causing me to be emotionally reactive. I need you to help me to be emotionally stable in this moment. Help me to be clear about my emotions so that I can communicate them in a mature way. And I had to realize that. I had to realize just me confessing to the Lord in those solitary moments was me finding strength to get what I need, because my strength is in Him. That's the thing. My strength is in Him. My courage is in Him. My security is in Him. Everything that I need is in Him. My confidence is in Him. And then so if I look for it and I can't find it, I gotta go get it. And where I'm gonna get it from is my Father, because I didn't get it when I was a child, and that's okay. I'm gonna get it from my Father, because the Lord knows. He knew when He created you in your mother's womb that there were things that your earthly parents were not going to be able to give you, because they are also sinners and they're also struggling with the things that they didn't get in their childhood. And so they weren't able to give it to you. And that's okay, because our Father can provide everything that we need. He can meet every emotional unmet need that you did not get as a child. He can meet it. If you weren't affirmed and encouraged as a child, He will affirm you when you need it. He affirmed Jesus. He said, "This is my Son in whom I am well pleased." That is why Jesus could go and He could be who He was called to be on the earth, because God affirmed Him. And sometimes we don't even realize, like, oh, I'm not secure, or I give up easily because I quit easily because I wasn't affirmed or encouraged as a child. You know what I mean? And it's like now I know that God affirms me. I don't need my earthly parents to affirm me anymore because I know where I can find it when I'm looking for it. I love you. I am thankful that you decided to tune in on today. Uh, and I will see you in the next episode of Outside of Eden.